Lumpy Pears Adventure, Episode 5. Lumpy woke up. Yes, and you're 5. Lumpy woke up. But it was still early. He woke up really early because he heard a sound outside his house. He always hears sounds. It sounded kind of like crying. What could that be? But it didn't sound like a person crying. It sounded like an animal crying. So Lumpy popped out of bed, opened his door, and walked around closer and closer to the sound. And he saw a little puppy with a hurt foot in the bushes. And he looked and he saw footprints. It was a puppy that walked outside of his house. That's why there was 2 sets. He thought it was 2 things, but it was really a puppy.
Okay, wait, but it said that there was only 2 feet.
2 sets of prints.
Oh.
Yeah, so he found a puppy. Oh, this cute little puppy was white with some little brown spots and a little black spot on his head. How cute. He was kind of poofy. Oh, come here, little guy. So Lumpy picked him up. And he had a stick poking out of his paw. And it was all sore. So he carried him home and helped carefully get the stick out without hurting him too much. But the doggy still until it came out. And then as soon as it came out, the puppy tongue stuck out and its tail wagged. And it was so small that when its tail wagged, its head wagged. And then the little puppy licked Lumpy's face. He was so happy. And he was licking his face and wagging his tail and wagging his head all at the same time in Lumpy's arms. Lumpy had a nice warm feeling come over him. He was so happy to help this little puppy. And he noticed that it didn't have a collar. So it must have been a stray or a lost puppy. And so Lumpy decided, well, there's nobody else really around here, and I know it didn't come from the village because I didn't hear a single dog or see a single dog in the village. Where did you come from, puppy? I guess I'm going to have to hold on to you for a while. So he put the puppy down and he looked at him. And he said, what am I going to call you? What's your name? I don't know, but here, have some chicken. So he threw down some roasted chicken. And the little puppy ate it all up.
At the farm, 2 people told me that don't give doggies raisins or chocolate.
Don't give raisins. Well, good thing Lumpy didn't have any raisins or chocolate. He just had chicken. And he was growing stuff in his garden. So the puppy ate the chicken and went to the corner by the bed, which was still dirt, remember, because he didn't even have a bed. He just had a pillow. And laid down and fell asleep. So Lumpy said, okay, little guy, you stay here. You get better. Because he still kind of walked with a limp. He lifted his paw up, so he didn't want to take the puppy anyway. And so he went out for his day to explore and kind of make some decisions of what he wanted to do. And he thought, I better make my house a little bigger. Maybe even build a dog house for my little puppy. And I got to think of a name. Oh, no, he didn't like that name. So he went out to gather his supplies, his materials to build a bigger house. And as he was going out, he found a few sheep. And he thought, oh, awesome. And it was a mommy sheep and some baby sheep. He didn't want to kill them. And he remembered, hey, I could make some shears. And then I could shear the wool. So he took a stick and he kind of corralled the sheep to walk all the way back to his house. And then he found some string. It was really from a spider. But, yeah, he couldn't think of anything. But he made a rope out of spider silk, which is incredibly strong. And it takes a ton of spider silk. But he just so happened to have that much spider silk. So he made a rope, and he tied it around the sheep's neck, and then he put a stick in the ground so that the sheep could walk in circles and eat the grass but not go away. Then he went back in the forest, chopped down a bunch of trees, and made a little pen.
Pen?
Yeah, a sheep pen.
Oh, I thought you meant like a writing pen.
Oh, no, a pen. Like a pig pen or a sheep pen, an animal pen. To keep the animals from wandering all the way and to keep them safe. So he put them in, and then he made shears. And he sheared the sheep, and he took the wool, and he went in and he made a bed with some wood and some wool. And he laid down. It wasn't nighttime yet, but he just laid down because he was tired. And he thought, this is all right. I got a little puppy. I got some sheep. I got some plants growing. Oh, my plants! I never watered them enough because he was distracted from the glowstone. That's right. And he wanted to know where the glowstone came from. All of these things came back. He was so distracted from everything from as soon as he woke up. So he ran down, got some water, put it on his crops, and went back in and read some more about glowstone and about a place called the Nether Realm. And he thought, oh dear, okay, so I guess this glowstone came from there. And the Ender King, he remembered all this was coming back to him. And now he has a new responsibility of sheep and dogs, or at least one dog. What am I going to do? So he had a good idea. I don't really have time to take care of all these things, especially if I want to find out more about this Enderman King. And so I'm going to take my sheep over to the villagers and see if they'll raise them. I'll do a trade if they give me some wool sometimes for whatever I need, and they can have the sheep. So he brought them over, and he actually sold them to him for some wool whenever he wanted, and some gold, and a fishing pole. So he came home, put his fishing pole in his house.
And if he finds some ocelots, then he can fish for fishies, and then...
Well, he wasn't thinking about ocelots at the moment. He was just thinking about getting home, so he put his fishing pole in the corner of the room and said, oh my goodness, where is this day gone? I still wanted to remodel my house. So instead of making a big mess, he decided he's just going to keep his cube and right next to his cube build the house of his dreams. It was going to be amazing. He wanted lots of windows. In fact, he wanted the whole thing, some of the walls to be just glass. Because it was so beautiful outside, he wanted to be able to just look. And he wasn't really afraid of anybody looking in because there was nobody around. So he said, I have to find some sand. but it's getting too late, and I don't even know where sand is around here. Everything's green and just muddy or rocky. And so he said, the first thing in the morning, I will set out and find some sand. So the sun was going down enough that he decided he would go to bed. He fell asleep in his new comfy bed. The little puppy laid there until it started getting cold, and then he heard, and so he picked up the puppy, who waggled his head and waggled his tail at the same time. And he said, you can sleep in here. And so they snuggled on the bed and fell asleep. That morning, Lumpy woke up with a stuffy nose. And his eyes itched. And he was sneezing. And when he got out of bed, he looked around and saw there was dog hair everywhere. Oh, puppy. And he sneezed. And he sneezed again. Oh, puppy. Am I allergic to you, puppy? What are we going to do? I like you. You're cute. But I don't want to sneeze all the time. And you can't sleep in my bed anymore. So we'll figure something out for you. But in the meantime, I'm going to go to find some sand.
I thought you were going to say the sand store for me.
No, not the sand store. Just find sand. So he opened the door to start his adventure. And all of a sudden, the puppy ran out and was hopping all around. Oh, my goodness. The puppy was going to come with him. He could tell that he wouldn't be able to make him stay. In fact, he had a hunch that if he made the puppy stay, the puppy would trash the place. So, Lumpy said, very well, you can come with me, but you better listen. Well, they started walking to where the river flowed. They were walking in the direction of the flow because Lumpy thought rivers usually empty into a lake or into an ocean. And where there's an ocean or a lake, there's usually sand. So they kept walking along the edge of the river. And they walked a long time, and the puppy just kept running around and finding fun under every stick and under every blade of grass, jumping around, bouncy, wiggly tail. And then all of a sudden, all of a sudden he fell in the water. And the water was going fast. Stop making sounds. Fine. So he fell in the water. It was going so fast. Oh no, the puppy's in trouble. So he jumped in the water and swam as fast as he could because he knew this puppy wasn't going to stand a chance. Caught up to the puppy and climbed up on Lumpy's head as he swam to the edge of the river. You naughty puppy. You get into trouble one more time, I'm taking you home. So they continued their journey, and sure enough, not too much further down, they found where the river opened up into a big ocean. It was huge. Lumpy couldn't see anything on the horizon except more water. But there was plenty of sand. So Lumpy grabbed as much as he could. Tons and tons of sand. And the puppy was running around, digging holes, and bouncing around, running in the water. And then all of a sudden, oh dear. And there was a squid attacking the puppy. Puppy, you're in trouble again. So he fought off the squid. And the puppy was, 2 seconds later, it was as if nothing happened, started bouncing around and said, well, I said I was going to take you home, but we're already here. So he finished collecting his sand, and Puppy had dug a big, huge hole.
Puppy.
And he fell because under the hole was a big empty cave. And now Lumpy could hear the puppy barking for help because it was all echoey. He's like, oh gosh, more trouble. So he dug a bigger hole so he could go down. And he said, that's it, you little stinker. Your name is Trouble. Because you get into trouble all the time. So we named his puppy Trouble. Okay, well, now look where we are. I can't even see around. So he lit a torch. And he looked around. And he could not believe his eyes. All around there was iron and coal and gold and a chest. Oh my goodness. Trouble, look what you found. Maybe Trouble was digging for this. Who knows? But nobody's around. So Lumpy went over to the chest. And he opened it very slowly. And when he opened it, it kind of went poof, like air escaped from it. And it smelled weird. And there was a book inside. And it was all language that he couldn't read. And even cooler than the book inside, there were potions. Bottles of magic potions. They were glowing weird colors. And then he looked under the book. He looked under the book and he saw a sword. A sword like he never saw before. It was purple. It was a purple sword. The handle was normal, but the actual blade was purple. Oh my goodness, he was afraid to touch it. What if it was poisonous? What if it had a curse? He was afraid to touch the book now. But he didn't want to leave it because now the waves were coming in and water was starting to fill the hole. And he thought, if I leave this here, I'm never going to get it again. I'll just take the whole box. So he filled as much gold and as much of the treasure that was in the room. And he stuck it all in this chest and grabbed the chest and climbed out. Him and Trouble ran all the way home as fast as they could. Sand was pouring out of Lumpy's pockets. They were both covered in sand. And they ran all the way home and closed the door because by now it was dark and they knew that there were creepers and zombies chasing them. But they were safe.
Probably Enderman.
Well, they didn't see an Enderman yet, but they knew they were around, or at least one of them was at one time. So he put his chest next to his bed. It still smelled really weird, kind of like stinking, rotting grass and cheese, like stinky cheese, and it kind of smelled like gross feet.
Pirates?
Huh? Gross feet? I don't know.
Pirates have gross.
So anyway, he decided he was going to scoot it over to the far end of his cube. And then he told Trouble, you have to stay on the ground. No matter how much you cry, you have to stay on the ground. Because I don't want to be covered in hair and I don't want to sneeze all the time. So Lumpy laid down and fell asleep after 5 hours because that's how long it took Trouble to stop crying. Dun 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 dun.
Sounds fun.
Thanks for listening. If you want more videos like this, click subscribe, and I love to hear back what you think about these stories. So leave a comment in the section below, and there's more to come.